No, so you don't understand either. Good.
Order. I do understand. We move to question number 5. Grant Robertson.
Mr. Speaker, my question is to the Minister for Land Information. On what date did the Hon John Banks lobby him on behalf of the application of Kim Dotcom to purchase property in Coatesville, and how did Mr Banks communicate this lobbying?
Honourable Maurice Williamson.
Mr Speaker, around the middle of last year by phone.
Supplementary question.
Grant Robertson.
Did he keep a written record of Mr Banks lobbying on behalf of Mr Dotcom, and if not, does he not think this would have been a transparent thing to do?
Maurice Williamson.
No.
Supplementary
Grant
question.
Robertson.
Why did he initially take a different view on Mr Dotcom's character to own the Coatesville property, and was this related in any way to the lobbying by John Banks?
Mr Speaker,
Maurice Williamson.
I took the original view because that was the advice of the Overseas Investment Office, that ministers should approve it. And as the member will know, the process is then for ministers to seek further information, clarify some things that we needed to, and in the end there was only one decision taken, and that was to decline the application.
Grant Robertson.
Were any of the matters Mr Banks brought to his attention in his lobbying relevant to his initial decision?
Maurice Williamson.
No.
Supplementary question,
Grant
Mr
Robertson.
Speaker. Did Mr Banks indicate the nature of his relationship with Mr Dotcom when he lobbied on his behalf, including whether or not there had been any political donations made by Mr Dotcom to Mr Banks?
Honourable Maurice Williamson.
Speaker, Mr Banks said that Kim Dotcom had been a good friend to Auckland City and had paid for a very large fireworks display. He made no further comment.
Supplementary question, Mr Speaker.
Supplementary, Grant Robertson.
Was he aware that Mr Banks told Mr Dotcom that Maurice Williamson and Mr Banks were, quote, good friends, and why does he think Mr Banks would mention their friendship as a relevant factor?
Honourable Maurice Williamson.
No.
Supplementary, Right Honourable Winston Peters.
How does the Minister explain the chronology where the fireworks display and the cheques and the thank you was 6 months apart? Or was Mr Banks clairvoyant as to what was likely to happen on that occasion?
The Honourable Maurice Williamson.
Speaker, I don't think I have any responsibility for that question whatsoever.
Order. Right Honourable Winston Peters.
Mr Speaker,
is this a supplementary?
No, it's a point of order.
Point of order.
Previous answer he put at issue why Mr Banks had talked to him about this patron of Auckland that had arrived from overseas. And at the time he mentioned that there was the question or discrepancy that I've previously referred to between the cheques and the fireworks display, which was about 6 months apart. Now, surely the Minister can see the discrepancy in that, and that's why I'm asking that question.
Yes. No, the Minister raised the matter of fireworks display in his reply, and he does not go any further with supplementary questions. It departs from the principal question in the way the member asked the question. Would the member like to restate the question so that I get an understanding of it?
Well, before I do that, point of order.
Point of order.
Mr Speaker, since when has it been the case that you can't widen a question if the Minister puts at issue a certain subject, which he did, which was the fireworks display?
Yeah,
now, why are you saying we've got to go back to the principal question for the parameters when that's a new ruling?
No, well, it's not intended to be. That's why I've asked the member to restate the supplementary question, that I might gauge it again.
Well, if the Minister thinks that Mr Banks had all points of conversation and engagement with him was acting with integrity, why is there such a gap between the fireworks display, which was the issue, one of the issues Mr Banks said was the reason for Dotcom being a big supporter of Auckland, and yet the cheques and the thank you note came 6 months later?
Honourable Maurice Williamson.
Well, Mr Speaker, that has nothing to do with my responsibility.
No, I accept the Minister's response.
What he means by the cheques, I don't even know what cheques he's referring to.
Yeah, Grant Robertson, supplementary. Order. Supplementary ground, Robertson.
Noting that the Coatesville property is in the Helensville electorate, did the Minister have any letters of support or other representations from the local MP on behalf of Mr Dotcom?
Honourable Morrison.
Speaker, no.
Right. We come now to question number 6 in the name of Dr. Jackie Blue. Jackie Blue.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question